here's what you need to know about traveling to North Korea. Number 10. Tours. Contrary to popular belief, people can actually visit North Korea. The only detail is that you can't do it on your own, like, say, backpacking through Europe and staying at hostels all over the place. And if you're an American, it's right now highly recommended to not visit North Korea, as diplomatic relations are pretty much non-existent right now. They're just snatching up Americans left and right as bargaining chips. But anyways, to visit North Korea, you have to buy a guided tour with one of the authorized agencies. These tours are all government approved and include 24/7 attention by official minders that explain the sites, take you to museums, and ensure that you abide the law. This is useful if you want to avoid doing something that might land you in jail, such as in the unfortunate case of Otto Warmbier. But if you are planning to get to know the real North Korea, you'll have to temper your expectations a bit. Tours will mostly take you to the few tourist places that have been previously authorized by the government, so you most likely won't be seeing how the general public actually functions and lives. The one good thing about the tours is that they're pretty affordable. If you stay where you're told to and don't go into the country planning to question everything you see, you should be fine. If you want to go off the beaten path all by yourself, then North Korea isn't the ideal place to plan your next vacation. Number 9. Visa. Citizens of most countries need a visa to visit North Korea, after doing the proper visa work, of course. Only a few countries have visa exemptions for its citizens to visit North Korea. After booking a tour with a travel agency, the tour must be approved by North Korean authorities. Once you have authorization, a visa will be issued. The travel agencies you travel with will take care of all the visa paperwork, but sometimes tourists are required to have a phone interview. These interviews are supposedly pretty friendly and usually only touch on certain aspects of your profession. If you're a journalist or a member of a political party, you're pretty much going to be rejected. South Koreans and journalists of any nationality can say goodbye to doing a special piece for a news channel. Missionaries and religious people are also forbidden entrance. Although the North Korean Constitution provides for freedom of religious belief, let's not forget the government doesn't exactly actually allow religious freedom. When traveling with a tour, the visas will be issued as a group. This way, visas are never held by the individual tourists. This might cause worry for some people, but you can take a picture with your phone of your visa and the tourist card of your tour guide just in case. But then again, we are talking about travel to North Korea, so really, if they really wanted to do something, they'd be able to do it. Okay, you have your tour booked, and your visa looks promising. Now you actually have to get into the country. Most foreigners can enter North Korea by train, plane, or boat, but US citizens must enter and exit North Korea by air only. Flights for North Korea only depart from China, so tourists flying in are forced to travel there first. Number 8. Sightseeing. So, what would a typical tourist see inside North Korea? Nothing too exciting, apparently. Tours will mostly consist of visiting war memorials and monuments dedicated to the supposedly great North Korean leaders of the revolution. There will also be museums that are mostly related to the war and the further glory of the Workers' Party of Korea. Many tour groups also visit the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ for short, which is a very popular destination. Most recreational activities for tourists take place within the resorts made specifically for tourists. The entertainment includes bowling, karaoke, and listening to music. Is this like going to a retirement home in Florida? Who knows, but it sure sounds like it. Kinda. Under the strict supervision of the tour guides, groups will go out for a night of fun downtown, but tours will still mostly stick to the official landmarks. Nightlife in Pyongyang does exist, but it's reportedly fairly quiet. Although alcohol is cheap, this is probably the last place on earth to get really wasted and do something dumb. Undercover police are always around and can punish you severely for anything they find dumb. Drugs are definitely illegal, and trafficking and possession of illegal substances can result in some really heavy punishment. However, supposedly, cannabis is legal and smoking it is allowed in North Korea. However, there's really no law regarding marijuana. It still just seems way too risky for just a night of fun. It's illegal in China as well, and you definitely don't want to smuggle it into China when you're traveling to Beijing. Transporting narcotics is one of the non-negotiable crimes in China, and it's punishable by death. Yeah, just don't do it.
Number 7. How to act in Korea.
When visiting North Korea, you're basically going to have to be on your best behavior. You'll have to listen to your guides. If you do, your stay will go smoothly as planned, but if you don't, then it might get uncomfortable for everyone involved. Obviously, if you're polite with your tour guides and at least pretend to make friends with them, they'll most likely relax and let you do a bit more, instead of watching over you like hawks. There are certain places that are held sacred by North Koreans, and they'll bow before statues and such. If tourists are uncomfortable doing this kind of thing, they should let their guides know in advance and then ask themselves why on earth did they decide to go to North Korea. They shouldn't refuse to bow right in front of any statues or landmarks because basically they're probably going to end up in some labor camp. Also, tourists shouldn't laugh or argue with whatever it may be their tour guides tell them, even when it may contradict everything they've ever been taught.
Number 6. What not to do in Korea.
When traveling to North Korea, remember that you'll be denied entrance if you show any accessories that are religious or political. Make sure you leave any religious books at home. Tourists shouldn't try to change anyone's mind when they're in North Korea, or else you're going to be chopping down trees for the next 15 years. Possession of any media, either physical or electronic, that's critical of the government or its leaders is considered a criminal act punishable by long-term detention in hard labor camps and heavy fines. Showing disrespect to the country's former leaders, Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il, or for the country's current leader, Kim Jong-un, is considered a crime. This includes, but isn't limited to, tampering with or mishandling materials with their names or images. Traveling without authorization, even for short distances, is a crime. Having unauthorized interaction with the local population is a crime. Taking unauthorized photographs is a crime. Bringing pornography into the country is a crime. Shopping at stores not designated to foreigners is a crime. You guys get the theme yet? Removing or tampering with political slogans and signs or pictures of political leaders is actually allowed, weirdly enough. Okay, really, did you guys believe that one? It's a crime, people. Don't do it. Rest in peace, Otto Warmbier. Definitely a tragedy, regardless of what actually happened.
Number 5. Dress code.
You'll want to make sure you pack some nice clothing, such as formal dresses, shirts, pants, and shoes. There are places in North Korea where you're expected to be dressed relatively formally, so if you're going to go there, you're expected to dress for the occasion. To make things easier for yourself and your tour guides, dressing business casual would be on the safe side when going to North Korea, but nice jeans are allowed. Definitely leave the ripped jeans at home. For the ladies, keep in mind that women shouldn't wear skirts unless they're really long ones. Although women are allowed to wear pants, formal dresses are encouraged. Surprise, surprise, try not to show a lot of cleavage when visiting North Korea. When in doubt, ask your tour guide. It's better to be overdressed than to get thrown into some labor camp for a dumb Justin Bieber t-shirt.
Number 4. Phones.
Until recently, phones were prohibited in North Korea. Foreigners' phones were taken upon arrival, confiscated, and returned at departure. But now they let you keep your phones, with a few exceptions. GPS trackers and satellite phones are still banned. When you get to the country, your phone will be looked at, and authorities will take its specifications before returning it to you in order to avoid you selling it inside to the locals or exchanging it for another one. Not many North Koreans have cell phones, but you'll see some people talking on their phones on the street.
Number 3. Health.
Anyone's visit to North Korea will be closely supervised, so the guides will most likely take no risks concerning anyone's health. Food poisoning is rare, as visitors don't have access to street food, and food consumed will be carefully selected to avoid sickness. Still, visitors might be better off sticking to bottled water, as water in many third world countries has a risk of not being properly treated. Although there aren't mandatory vaccines needed before traveling to North Korea, there are some vaccines that are strongly recommended to avoid any unpleasant surprises during travel. Medical facilities will be clean, but as North Korea is a poor country, many of these will be outdated and lacking real medical staff. As a foreigner, if tourists get seriously ill during their stay, it's probably better for them to travel to China to get proper treatment.
Number 2. Money matters.
While traveling in North Korea, tourists aren't allowed to use the local currency. Instead, foreigners must use US dollars, Chinese yuan, or euros. Although technically you could use any of these options, it'll be easier for you if you buy things in Chinese yuan, because shops will be more likely to have change for the yuan in case you need it. At any rate, it's advisable you carry small bills with you and bring the bills into the country so you won't have to struggle with inflated exchange rates. Travel agencies recommend you change your money to Chinese yuan when you're in Beijing right before you fly to North Korea, as many tours are booked from there. Still, there won't be many opportunities to buy a lot of things during your travel. Visitors aren't exactly taken to department stores, and individuals can't wander away from their groups, so souvenirs will be few and far between.
Number 1. Photos.
Photos. The one thing almost everyone always cares about when it comes to a trip. Seriously, before the camera was invented, what did people do for memories of a place? Keep some dirt on the ground? Anyways, professional cameras and gear aren't allowed to be taken into North Korea. This goes hand in hand with banning journalists and reporters. Only lenses less than 250 millimeters are allowed, and anything over that will be retained until your departure by customs. Your tour guides will point out when you can take pictures and will also tell you when you can't. You gotta follow their instructions if you don't want to be digging random holes in the ground. Let's not forget that even if you're not directly punished, your tour guide will definitely be, and even their families might suffer the consequences of any tourist doing dumb things. Tourists can't take pictures of soldiers or military facilities. There'll be inevitable moments when the picture you want to take will include soldiers, such as in monuments and historical landscapes, but be sure to ask your tour guide if you can take a pic. Before leaving the country, you'll probably be asked to show your photos. Traveling to North Korea might not be a lush vacation, but it's still for sure be a fascinating place to visit, and it's something to tell your friends and family about back home. Again, if you're an American, really, just don't go in the political climate right now. For everyone else, just remember, listen to your guides. Here's what's next.
Kim Jong-un apparently fell in love with Swiss cheese when he was a student in Switzerland. But his love for Swiss cheese eventually spiraled out of control when he became addicted to it. In 2014, Kim got upset at his chefs because they couldn't replicate Emmental, his favorite kind of Swiss cheese, properly.